Sure.
Whenever you guys are ready.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Kitzman. I'm the Client Success Manager of SwimCloud. Thank you for joining us today. As always, we have with us Coach Kevin Kinel with the Duneland Swim Club and Chesterton High School. Kind of been a coach there forever. He's helping SwimCloud with our race analysis product. And we are happy today to have Coach Andy Korda with the Blue Tide out of Texas. So Kevin, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. Always really good and fun to do these webinars, and hope everybody learns something from them. I know I learn every time we talk to different coaches, and I think it's great. And it's all about sharing. So like Scott said, our guest today is Andy Korda, Blue Tide Aquatics. Many of you probably know him from Katie Aquatics, where he was the high performance coach for a number of years. He's had individual state champs. He's had junior national champions, national finalists, Olympic trial swimmers. He was 2017 Gulf Senior Coach of the Year. He was 3-time Gulf Head Zone Coach, 2-time All-Star Head Coach, 2012 West Texas Head Zones Coach. He's spoken at ASCA several times, so the list goes on and on. Welcome, Coach. Really excited to have you here today.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate this opportunity to share some of my information with you all.
And I hope, for the viewers, he just had some oral surgery earlier in the week, so I know he's torn up a little bit, and we really appreciate him taking the time to do this. I know that's not easy to go through. So kind of start right into this. First off, how long have you been at Blue Tide now?
So I've been at Blue Tide just over a year, something like probably about 12 months right about now. And I did come from Katie Aquatics, where I was there for about 5 years. It was really great to expand and get a little bit better with my knowledge working at Katie, and then just coming to Blue Tide was the right fit at the right time, and bring that information over there. We've really done a lot of great things in a short amount of time, and it's just been a lot of fun to watch these kids grow.
Yeah, I'll say Katie Aquatics was really, emerging on the national scene, and now you're doing the same thing with Blue Tide. So that's, that's not by accident, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to get you on here and try to share a little bit of your knowledge and some of the things that have worked for you. Before we get into all that, I mean, what is your official title? What are your responsibilities at Blue Tide?
So I'm the head coach at Blue Tide, obviously staffing, designing practices, organization, the direction we want to take the team, and in board meetings, golf meetings, and stuff like that. So a normal, typical head coaching job just takes a lot of time and bumps in the road, learning my new job and the roles I play. The coaching staff's been really good about keeping me on task with certain things that I didn't have to do when I was at Katie. So it's been a learning experience. It's been a lot of fun at the same time, but it's a typical head coaching job. It never stops. Something to do all the time.
How big is your team? How many swimmers do you have?
So before COVID, we were up to 270. Normally we drop during the summer league time to right about 200. With COVID and stuff, we're down to 179, 180, somewhere around there. But we do have a wait list of 95 kids that want to join our team. But because of restrictions, we just don't have the space to put them on our team right now. 4 per lane short course. And when we do get some long course time, thanks to Shaq, we're allowed 3 or 6 per lane in long course. But it's just such limiting numbers, we can't afford to really take too many kids on the team.
Well, and you talked about Shaq. That's one of the facilities that you're using during COVID, right?
That's correct. Gilbert, the head coach at Shaq, has been, the guy's just, bless his heart, been so open to all the teams in the golf. He wants them to get in the water, and he's charging such a minimal rate. And he's just bending over backwards to get more and more teams into his pool so that we can train and hopefully be ready to go when we finally do have real meets, stuff like that. The guy's been amazing. That's
awesome. So during this COVID period, what all facilities are you using?
It's been changing. So when we first started, we didn't have any. We were doing a lot of Zoom dry lands. And I got to thank Abby Lou out in California. She kind of got me hooked up on that. So by day 2 of COVID, we're already doing dry lands on Zoom. And then from that, my president would hound these HOA meetings and keep going. And we finally got 1 to cave, and then 2, 3. Now we're into 3 pools out there, but none of them have heaters. So we got to start looking elsewhere when it gets October out here.
Oh, everything's outside now.
Everything's outside right now, but starting next month, we're going to be lucky enough to get back into high schools as long as COVID doesn't, really flare up again, or they have any incidents at the school. And then our president also is working on getting an old athletic club in Kingwood area that has been closed for a long time, and we're close to signing a deal where we're going to do a long-term lease and have our own facility. So we're going to be okay down the road, but it's just constantly changing from not having school, getting to subdivision pools. Now school started. Now we got to change our program again around the subdivision pools that are still open now, but most of them are closed. Shrinking the groups down so we can fit into the pools, longer practices. And then in 2 weeks, we have to change again because we'll be back in the high schools and won't be using outdoor pools as much, but we'll keep a couple of them until we get our facility up and going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy all around the country trying to do it. And it's really cool that you've got a big facility out there that's really trying and willing to help everybody. And,
yeah, they asked the HISD, Troy is their athletic director, and he brought us in for a meeting about coming back in the pool, stressed he wanted us back in there. But, he's got to do things safe for not just the swimmers, but for 7,000 athletes. So he's been very gracious trying to work our way in, and we just cannot wait to get back into the schools.
Really cool. So you have, when you were at Full Boat, you had about 270 people.
Correct.
How big is your staff?
We have about 11 coaches on staff. We have 4 full-time staff, and then we have a bunch of part-timers that are just filling here and there. But the great thing is even our part-timers have great coaching background and experience. They just have other jobs, and they don't want to get out of the sport all the way. So they're willing to work some evenings here and there, and they bring their great information, their great background, their swimming personal background, their coaching background, and they bring it to these kids, and it's just been really good for them to pick that stuff up.
It's really
so I got a good staff.
Yeah, that makes all the difference. And then utilizing them to their fullest is kind of an art.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It really is. So out of your club, how many high schools do you feed?
So we generally feed 3. We have Kingwood Park, and then Atascocita, which is all near the Kingwood-Humboldt ISD area. We do get a couple from other like private schools, stuff like that, but for generally just those 3 high schools, which is really good because if we're feeding these athletes that are really, really talented to these 3 schools, they have pretty good numbers, which is why, our Kingwood boys won high school state. Kingwood Park, they won 6A state. Kingwood Park boys won 5A state. Kingwood girls were second in state at 6A. So, I mean, we scored really high at high school state this last year.
Yeah, cool. It's got to, that's got to be fun. It's got to feel rewarding after all your work and trying to feed some of those high schools and working with those high schools too. Do you have a pretty good rapport with them?
Well, I'm fortunate in that regard because all the high school coaches are on my payroll on top of that. So, yeah, we have a great rapport. But during the high school meets, I sit in the stands. I don't interfere. I get out of the picture. I'm just there trying to take notes, and it's all about the high school coaches. So they get all the credit. I give kids all the credit. I'm just a facilitator of getting things done.
That's really great. Sometimes when you have good people, it's best to just kind of get out of their way and let them go.
Absolutely.
That's cool. So you've been an avid user of race analysis, back from when we had Swim Hero. Why is it so important to you, and how do you benefit from it?
So I got started. I had a swimmer named Natalie Hines who was working her way up the ladder to Olympic trials, and as we were getting closer, I figured I needed to do more. And I was a math major in college, and so I started breaking down each of her races on paper and just trying to figure out how far she was going underwater, how fast, how many strokes were taken, how fast. And I was doing all this by hand. And it would literally take me 30, 40 minutes per race to break it down. And I was doing this for every race for like a year. And then we go to junior nationals in Seattle. I happened to go in the coach's hospitality to get a drink between races. and someone was doing a demonstration with a projector on the wall with Swim Hero. And it's exactly what I was doing on paper. And they did it in minutes compared to my 40 minutes. And I literally eavesdropped. I did not leave. As soon as the coach got up, I sat down and started asking questions, and I bought it that day. Like, I got it. And then started using it. And it's great information for these athletes and coaches, not just for the coaches, but also for the athletes once you prepare them what to look for and depending on their ability level. But it's just unbelievable how it can break down the stroke. So with Natalie, we knew she was faster underwater than on top of the water. So we knew if we could cut down the number of strokes and stay underwater a little bit longer, her overall time would be faster. And that's how we started looking at this. And it really helped. This makes it so much easier to do it than doing it by hand. I'll tell you, it's crazy. From 2 minutes to 40,
Yeah. Right.
Or
Yeah.
from 40 to 2.
It's quick. It's easy. And then it all stores up on the cloud there. It's easy to access.
Right. But back with Swim Hero days, I would screenshot the result, the table, and I'd send it to them through text. So when they finished warming down, they could look at the race and say, oh, this is what I need to do. And they actually bring it over. Like, what are you seeing? What do I need to see? And over a period of time, they start owning it. They would literally come over like, hey, coach, I probably should have stayed under longer, one more here, and took off one stroke here. And I'm like, yeah, because you can see the distance and the velocity. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because, and I'm smiling because I've had kids that have done that same thing. It's, you let them look at it and they'll tell you, I need to stay under longer here. I need to do this. I need to do
Or
that.
his turn was slow.
Right. Thanks, coach. Thanks for doing that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So that's neat. It really allows them to have some ownership, I think.
Absolutely.
In that which transpires to their training as well. So we've got some of your some swims from the Texas high school state meets to go over a little bit. And then we've got a practice video that we're going to go through. And I think, users or viewers rather will want to be able to see how you take this info at meets, what you do with it, how does it translate to practices. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We'll kind of get into that. All right, so I think the first one we'll do is Glenn here, pronounced Cowan.
Cohen, yeah.
Cohen, okay. And this is the 2016 Texas 6A state meet.
Yes, sir.
And I will, we're going to try to attempt to do this in full screen. Sometimes with Zoom, it can get a little jumpy here, and viewers that have been with us before, have experienced some of this. I'm going to do the best we can. If we have to go to, smaller, we will.
If you want to just pause it really quick so I can tell everybody about the story. There's a story before this race. The medley relay that morning went and they said, take your mark. Glenn never pulled up, and they started the race and actually got a picture where the guys are already in the air and Glenn's just pulling up. And this is just a 50, and Glenn ran them down underwater and out touched them and led off. It was first place after the bad start like that. And there's another coach in here that coaches club with their son in this heat. And he came up to me afterward and said, we don't stand a chance today. I'm like, not after that. I don't think so. So we kind of knew going into this race what was going to happen. And again, this kid is one of the toughest finalist racers I've ever met in my life. Before his final races, when we talk, it's, you know what you're doing, go do it. I don't give him any race strategy because all I do is mess him up. That kid is just super tough. So Glenn's in lane number 4 in the black cap.
Yeah, Glenn is right here, and we'll let you narrate as this goes.
Well, the most important thing I can tell you is he left with everybody. Even if you play the sound, you'll hear me say, well, he left with everybody. Unbelievable underwaters. He's really pushing it through. He's already about a half body length in the lead. And he has one of the best turns I've ever seen where he just attacks that turn and he's gone.
Yes.
And again, he's going to push it probably just past halfway. It's been a while since I really watched this race. That's one area that we kept working on him more and more through over the next year, is trying to get that 15 every single time. But he's usually about halfway. But he's still got that good enough tempo to kind of keep that distance and just keep where he's at. But how aggressive, even in his last turn, how aggressive he gets into it and gone, he gets a little gain off that. He's got really good turns. and he's going to pop up a little bit earlier, not like right here, but he's going to win by over a body length. Go 47. I can't remember 47.4, I think, something like that. 47.6.
47.40.
Yeah.
But is what I had. Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's like I said, the kid is just phenomenal kid.
Yeah, and
he's a lot of fun to coach.
As we look in at the metrics here, you know, he's a really, really talented kid. I mean, his underwaters, like you know, 14 meters off the start, 12 meters, 11 meters, and he's 10 and a half here. You know, I mean, what I always look at too is this velocity. I mean, he's holding these underwaters at a really high velocity, 2.4, 2.3, 2.1, 2.3. I mean, so it's obvious that's been something that you've focused on with him.
Absolutely. And then we look at that too. We look at how far he's going. We look at that velocity, and then we look at the velocity and number of strokes. So like when he swims on that first one, he's only 1.47 meters per second compared to 2.4 underwater.
Right.
So we know the further we push that 15 meters, the faster he's going to be. That's one of the things that we always look at. Where are we faster? And we need to do more of it. Get rid of the slow stuff, do more of the fast stuff.
Yeah.
That's the way our velocity is. And so even on the second lap, you know, he's 2.3 to 1.8. So obviously staying underwater longer, and he only went 12 meters. So we could have gone another 3 meters and been even a little bit faster.
Yes. Nothing shows kids too, and the light bulb just comes on when you show them the difference of this surface velocity, you know, and the underwater velocity. And his surface velocity is good. You know, I mean, he's a talented kid. He kind of has, you know, all the metrics here. I mean, he's 1.2, 1.2, 1.3, 1.3, but look at this high distance per cycle.
Yeah.
Really good.
He does motor.
He really does. And what I thought was really cool out of this too is how he doesn't slow down going into these turns at all. Look at that. Speeds it up going in here, speeds it up, like you were saying, and just attacking the turns.
He attacks them crazy. And it's something that we worked on. We were lucky enough to have Leah Smith, I think it's Smith, that used to coach at Florida. She taught me the turn they did with Ryan Lochte, trying to make it more like a quote, quote, 2 freestyle stroke. And we taught Glenn that, and he's really good about doing it. And that one stroke when he crossed over, the hand is right in the front. He does a really powerful freestyle stroke with it, not so much a backstroke with it. And I think it helps him get in that turn. And
you can see that too. Into these walls, I noticed that too. He just he's turning before he actually gets into the wall.
Yeah.
And that's hard to teach.
It does take some time, but when you get it down, there's such a benefit to it because you're really doing 2 freestyle strokes. So this arm's free.
Right, he's really in there.
And then he's just gone. And then it's hard to catch him. And most kids, and you know this is probably like most coaches out there, we struggle to get our kids to attack walls. They want to slow down and take a breather. But you can't do that against him. If you do, it's done. You know?
Yeah, he really, and that last turn here, and I'll go back a little bit further, you really see him turning before he's even in. Awesome. Very fast.
Yeah, he was, like I said, he was a lot of fun to coach. Great leader of our team too. He really pushed the boys and girls to be better.
You know, he's so well-rounded in all his metrics. How is he in the other strokes and distances? I bet he's pretty good.
He was good pretty much in everything but breaststroke. Breaststroke was his nemesis. So he could do a good IM, be out front, and then breaststrokers would eat his lunch a little bit. But he could do anything else. Back, free, fly. His fly was coming along really great too. So he could have been pretty much anything but an IMer or a breaststroker. Distance-wise, he can take freestyle all the way up. So he was pretty talented.
Yeah, and he's swimming for Stanford.
He's swimming for Stanford now, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
He had a couple – he had, I think his first year there, he got really, really sick right before conference. He was like pneumonia kind of sick, and so it really hurt him a little bit. But he's learning to take care of himself better at college now, nutrition-wise. I don't think he was eating correctly as he should have because, you know, he didn't got mom there and stuff. So –
yeah, that sometimes is a learning experience for a lot of the freshmen, for sure.
Yeah, something you definitely learn.
Yeah, I want to go this past year's girls' state meet.
Mhm.
You had two kids in the that went 1-2 from your club, Emma.
Emma's from
Stickler.
Katy. Yes, I coached her about 8 months prior to that, and then I had Lexus for about 8 months going into this.
Alexis Newman. So I'm going to kind of do the same and let you kind of give your, now this video that we have, you know, it started a little bit late.
Okay. So Emma, I believe, is in lane 4, and Lexus is going to be in lane 5.
Correct.
So again, both are going to be really good with their underwaters. Emma's going to be a little bit quicker tempo than Alexis. And obviously you can see she's got a little bit of lead here. The biggest key, I think, for Alexis, the crossover, Emma's probably a little bit better. We're still learning from Alexis, but the breakouts, Alexis drives forward more as you watch her in the white cap, where Emma will pop up and then sink.
Seems to be, yeah, a little more vertical.
Yeah, and that costing Emma some time. It's something we work on we did work on all the time with her about trying to break out going more forward instead of popping and dropping. You'll see it here again. She goes up and then she'll sink on this next stroke. And on the last wall is probably her worst one, where Alexa's going to run her down a little bit coming in this last wall because Emma's going to pop up and Alexa's going to drive straight forward through the breakout. There's Alexa, and Emma's going to pop up and drop. And then that just little drop lets Alexis get back into it. But both had really great races.
Oh yeah, both 53 low and mid. They Alexis really came on there at the end. That last length for her is incredible.
Yeah, she's definitely a workhorse. She's got goals too, and she's definitely getting better and trying to get to the goal because she's only a sophomore in this video right here. She's got 2 years, and the goal is to break the state record. And we're hoping to do it if they have high school state this year. But that goal is really pushing her to even do more in underwater at practice, pushing the envelope. The turns are getting better. And we actually found, using video, we found something wrong with her backstroke catch. So we're trying to correct that too. So she'd probably be a little bit quicker, hopefully.
How often do you video underwater?
Pre-COVID, a lot. And even at Katy, a lot. I probably
I think that's
every
so
single
key.
day. Every single day I'd have someone that wants to video, either below or above. But COVID's made it a little tougher because we have to get kids in and out, and we're so limited on space.
Sure.
So when we're at Shack, we're not so limited of getting out right away. We got a couple minutes, so I can video really quick. So here and there. But as we get back to quote unquote normal, I'll have a lot more again. But I literally have thousands of videos from all this.
So when I looked at Emma's metrics here, thing that jumped out at me too is pretty much 13 meters every wall.
Yes,
Look at that, now, do you have a kick count, anything like that allows her to be that consistent?
So we started this, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but we called this thing the program, and it all became from Emma. So we used to work underwaters with Natalie and some other kids and Glenn, but the year prior to this, Emma lost the 100 fly. She was in the lead going to the last wall and got ran down by a junior national team member and got out touched. And the very next practice, she walked up to me at practice and said, "Coach, I want to win the 100 fly next year. How do I do that?" Now, Emma's not very tall. She's probably about 5'3" at the time. And we have to swim against a girl named Lily Norman, who is like 6'1", 6'2". And so we can't go stroke for her. And I told her I needed a day to think about it. And came back to her next day and said, "Hey, look, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to stay underwater. We're going to have to train it. We're going to have to build capacity." We created this program thing. And that's the result. I mean, the result is underwaters became really, really good. And so it takes time, but like we said, we video with her. We video 3 times a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do a set and then kind of rotate it through. And then I send them results to them so they can see what we're doing and what we need to do better. And again, I'll talk about a little bit more later because I know we're going to get into that. So
yeah, we're going to talk about the program in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Keeps good velocity here, and again, like we talked about it in relation to her surface, and she gets pretty good distance per stroke here too, you know, as
Right.
she's going through. So she's pretty talented.
Yeah,
And
but
Alexis, well, go ahead.
I was going to say, going back to the kick count, when we started this, we didn't do a kick count. She was so used to, like, it's kind of a feel thing. You kind of know where you are under the water, how far you are. And so we didn't do a kick count. And we had a coach come work with us, Tim Bauer, who, you know, everybody knows Tim. He's really good. He wanted Emma to start counting the kicks, and her velocity actually slowed down because now she's thinking about that, counting 1, 2, 3. And I didn't know that. And so after about a week of her charts getting slower, I started getting concerned. So I asked her, what's going on? She said, started counting her kicks. And I'm like, you're not going to go past 15. Don't count. You know where it is. She just knows. Now with everybody else, we started working kick counts a little bit more because they're new to it. And it's easier to teach that count and develop that and let them figure out where they're at than to go the other way around. But with Emma, she was already doing it. So I didn't think taking a step backwards was the right way. I thought the right way is teach kick counts first and then start building on it. So like I have a guy on my current team who's Garrett Green, ridiculously good underwater. IMer, can do all the strokes, and he knows his kick counts. But with Emma, we didn't really do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, but the good ones do know. I've had some kids that have gone past those, so I think kick counts is important for most people. But you got to let them go to their strengths too. And if they know where it is and they can feel it, that's okay. Now, Alexis, you know, is also pretty good underwater, over 2 meters or
Just right at,
meters per second. You know, not holding quite as far, but she's awfully good too. Thing I saw here is, you know, she's got a little bit of a slower tempo, allows her to have really good distance per cycle.
Yeah, she's a strong girl.
Boy, did she come on that last length like we saw in the video. And she also has, you know, doesn't lose speed going into walls. You know,
No,
just like we talked about with Glenn, she's really good speeding up into the walls.
We're definitely trying to work that same turn with them. It's some kids get it quicker than others because it is a little awkward, not like you're used to. But she's done a pretty good job learning it. And like I said, we do have a catch issue, which we're going to correct, and which I do think will help her hold a little bit better water. But we're working at 15 meters. The goal would be to be right at 15 meters off every single wall this next time around. That's the goal because we know we're faster underwater. So,
yeah.
Like I tell the kids, I only want to keep doing more of the fast stuff. If you got someone that's not good underwater, then they want to do more swimming. I mean, it's real easy. This stuff helps you figure that out. If they're pretty even, then you want to keep building it underwater because they haven't worked it enough. And they're probably going to get faster underwater and become faster than they're swimming. So it helps you figure all that out.
Yeah. Do you think that trying to do the turn that you're doing, whereas basically you're trying to get that freestyle stroke in almost before you hit the wall, do you think that really helps these guys speed up going in and not get caught in that? And how do you get them to do that in practice and not get lazy on long sets?
So, well, generally when we teach it, we're not doing long sets, obviously, though we do build it in there. But you're going to have to, you know, some swimmers have that natural laziness. I hate to say that, but it's just true. And you got some that are like Glenn that are super competitive, like never quits. The kid just never quit. And if you quit, he's on you. So he's, in that regard, like I said, a great leader. Alexis, she's learning to become that great leader. She does have some times where she struggles here and there. But when you teach them how to do it, the one thing they're going to notice is they get to take off the stroke and backstroke count inside the flags because you're actually literally taking 2 strokes of freestyle now. So they like that because they know it's faster than backstroke. Freestyle is faster than backstroke, so it's going to make them faster. And you just got to remind them of that. And then we talk about, like, again, Lex is not very tall. She's kind of like Emma, kind of short. And so every single time we have issues like that, it's easy to go, hey, we can't be lazy on the turns and let these tall kids get back the advantage. We got to take our advantages every year we can. So we have to be super aggressive. We have to do this. We have to do the underwaters. And they buy in because they see the results. And it's fun watching them learn and grow and do some amazing things. Been very fortunate.
You have to keep on them during practice, and then they get it. I was at helping coach a camp last summer, and Aaron Pearsall was talking about that term, and he said he really wished that he had kind of started doing that a little earlier. because he
Yeah.
felt like it was such an advantage. That's cool.
It is. I think it's a great advantage. And I was, again, just lucky that Leah came and taught it to me, and then I got to pass it on to my kids. It was just,
Yeah.
it was great. Steal from great coaches. That's what we do.
Yeah. Oh, and then you find a way to get it across to your swimmers.
Yeah.
This is a practice set, and I'll let you kind of talk about it a little bit before we show this video.
So this is what we call the program. And we started out, and you can see we got groups getting out, and we always do it at the end of practice. This is voluntary. We don't make anybody do it. Not even when I had Emma, it was who wants to do it. And Emma was always one that wanted to do it because we set that as her goal. So that you'll find out which kids really want to be great. That's one great thing about this. You get the ones that say they want to do this, they say they want to do that, but they're not willing to do the little extras. Well, these kids are. And so in the water right now, you got Meredith's going to do breaststroke. You got Joe's going to do fly. You got Alexis doing backstroke. And then you're going to have Shanice, I believe, doing fly.
She's doing backstroke.
She's doing backstroke. Okay. So Shanice is doing backstroke.
Particular
And
one.
then, so we do, way we built this program based on Emma's, we do 450s on 425s on 40, which is a lot of rest. And they're trying to go 15 meters, except for Meredith working her breaststroke, pop up, sprint to the end. And then when they're at the wall, I'll tell them how short are they past the 15-meter mark. Like, hey, you need to do one more kick, two more kicks. You're right at it. And then we do that for 425s. And then we break down their chart and send it to them. And what we try to do there is see how fast they're going with their underwater, how many strokes we're taking. And then we can also add up the 425s to see overall time. And you can add a couple seconds for the turns. And we should be beating our best time right out of the gate. And then to make it more challenging, we do this 3 times a week. And then the following week, we do it 3 times a week, but we do it on 35. And then the following week, we do 3 times a week on 30. And then you should see that time the underwater's getting faster and the time getting slow, or the time shrinking. And then we challenge them again by changing it on the 4th week. We start doing 50s. 50s on 110, 50s on 105 the following week, and then 50s on a minute the following week. Again, with a lot of rest, because the one thing that I talked about at Ask and stuff was that shallow water blackout. I never want to ever have to save anybody from shallow water blackout. That scares me. So I want to make sure they're getting air, and I want quality on that underwater travel. And we keep challenging it. So we're building the yardage, we're building capacity, and teach them how to go 15 off every single wall, no matter how tired they are. And then you get stuff like this. So this is the 425s on 40. If you want to go ahead and play it.
I'm going to play it, and I'm going to leave the sound on, and you can still narrate it, because I want the viewers to hear kind of the way you're trying to motivate them a little bit as this goes on.
Okay. I hope I don't sound stupid. I haven't seen this in a while, so I
Sure.
haven't listened to it. So they're going to push off. They're going to try to go their 15 meters. And Meredith, we're working on her breaststroke pullouts because she's pretty weak on that breaststroke pullout. I think she wasn't even past the 1st meter marker there. And you can see Alexis getting into the finish. And now we're on 40 seconds. So I step back to where I want to go for videoing, because I want to make sure I'm at the 15 meter mark. And then I start telling them what they did.
See, and it's the kids are going to respond so much better too when the coach is actively involved in just doing it.
Correct. I don't think they can hear the video because I don't hear anything. So I don't know if they got it turned on. But here we go again. And again, they're trying to mimic what they just did, trying to get to 15 meters and then go. In our pool, it's not marked. So we have to use there's black lines on the side wall. You'll see it as they go by. And that's a 15 meter mark. So that's where I kind of stand, and you'll see it right there. That's And so that's how we tell. The lane lines aren't marked. So it makes it a little tough when you do the videos, but it does work, and they kind of get to know where they're at. And all they're doing is training their body how far 15 meters is and to go fast as they can. Yeah, you can hear bits and pieces, like I said, ready, and then they're gone. Again, just trying to go fast as you can. See Alexis really taking off. Shanice, the girl next to her doing backstroke, has really good underwaters too. Popped up past 15, but she's really, really good at it. And she's just a freshman this year coming up. So we got some future stuff coming for sure. And then generally I walk down this last one and kind of remind them where they're at. And then last one, how bad do you want it? Remember your goals. push it, get to that 15-meter mark, sprint to the finish. That's the kind of stuff I usually say on the last one to remind them, no matter how tired you are, this is when it comes down to gut check. This is going to happen in a race. How bad do you want it?
Yeah. Well, and going on an interval like that, they're all starting together, so they can race each other underwater every single time.
Every single time. And then there's another group that is waiting to go after them. And so we usually do two groups a night, roughly. And I know that the little kids back there, that's our tags group, state level group. And I know the coaches get frustrated with me now and then because I'll run into their practice a little bit. I'm like, sorry, but, you know, I don't want to let these kids down. If they're willing to do the extra work, you know, got to give them those opportunities the best we can.
So at the end of practice, you just say who wants to stay for the program?
Well, generally that's how it starts. Like I talk about in our parent meeting and the swimmer meeting that we have these opportunities. Anybody's welcome to stay. And I stress anybody because you always get the parents that claim favoritism. And it's something you got to watch out for. And then the easiest way to do it is it's voluntary. Anybody can do it. I'm not picking and choosing. It's up to them to choose. And then I tell them I want them 3 days a week. And then so by the time that we finally get the structure going, every day I have about 8 kids staying to get through the group. And then we do it 3 days a week. So they do it 3 days a week, and then the other kids will do it 3 days a week. So I'm doing about 16 kids every week, which is about just over half my group.
And with this, and do you do the metrics on it, you know, from the video too, and then share that with them?
Yes, sir. So every night I get home, I'll eat dinner, and then I spend about, you know, when you're doing 4 kids, it takes a little bit longer, and you got all that drag time. So I'm hitting speed because you can adjust the speed it plays and then slow it down when they're actually swimming. But, you know, I spend 15, 20 minutes doing the videos, and then I'll send them an email or a text and show them the chart and tell them to take a look, and then we'll talk about the next day of practice. Mm-hmm. So the next day they walk in, we kind of go over the charts about what do we need to do better? Well, you're short on the 15-meter mark. You weren't there. We need more kicks. We need to do this. You slow down to your finish. And I can even show them the video if they forget, which is the great thing because you can show them the matrix with the video at the same time.
Right.
And so they can literally see where they're doing.
Yeah. So, you know, Alexis, on this drill too, you're just, if they go past 15, you're just reminding them, but you're not really that worried about it.
Not that worried about it. I just tell them like, hey, you're this far past 15 meters, whatever I say, you need to take off the kick, whatever. Cause I want them to feel it, like just get after and feel it.
And the goal here is to go 15 though, right?
Every single time I want them right at 15. I'd rather have them go a little bit past than be short.
Yeah. And see, Shanice here took you up on it. Look at this. She 17 meters, 16 meters, 17 meters, 15 meters.
But the great thing is when she gets to a meet, it's not gonna be that hard for her to go 15 meters anymore. You know, she's so used to going 17, but I don't want her to learn 17 either because now she's one of those kids that are gonna have to do stroke counts and count those kicks, so we don't do that.
Right.
So it's a process, but you know, you're trying to do whatever you can to make these kids the best they can. And Shanice, probably one of the most talented underwater travel swimmers I've ever coached. The girl is just phenomenal.
Her pop up here. She is incredible. She's got a little bit of that pop up, stop and go too.
She does.
She'll get better. That's
Absolutely.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun, and you know, it's get these kids to see that underwater swimming is faster, and then teaching it to them, and then they go to meets and they do it, and they start realizing that they're pulling away from kids under the water. It's just a lot of fun to watch it grow.
Yeah. Well,
and then they buy into it more.
And there's a plan, and they can buy into what it's going to take to do it. This is the same video, and I did the metrics of Joe here that did butterfly. You know, and he's 12 or almost 13 meters here, and then he's 10s here. And now is that an improvement for him? Is that still a work in progress kind of thing? Well,
I believe at this time, this is one of Joe's first ones. So he's improved from this a lot. He is different kid. He's also, I think in this video, he's 14 years old, and he's the smallest kid on our 14-year-old team. And he's like tiny. He's grown a lot, and he understands, like, his work ethic is crazy for a little kid. And he can do much 15, 15, 15, 15 now. And his speed is better than 1.8. It's probably up in the twos now. But yeah, this is one of his first ones ever to do it. And he kind of started a little bit later than others. The girls, for some reason, are always the ones that want to do it first. I don't know why. Maybe because they're still at that pleaser stage of their life or whatever. And the boys like, I want to get out. I want to go eat, you know? But then the boys start doing it because they start seeing it.
Yeah. You mean the girls tend to stay more? Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that, like, when you first start the program, they're the ones that want the spots. They want to do it. And the guys rather go home and go eat or get their schoolwork done, whatever their reasoning is. But once they start seeing the results, the guys buy in pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Garrett Green, like I said, the guy can do anything. His underwaters are ridiculous. And he started videoing more and more and more because he started seeing it.
With this, you know, doing this on a consistent basis too, and then doing it in addition, you know, with your races, you start to see things, not just with the underwater, but with the surface too. Like this jumped out at me. I mean, his stroke rate, 1.01, 1.03, 1.03, 1.05. I mean, just very consistent in there. Is that about the rate you want your 100 flyers to be?
That would be a great rate if you could do it for the whole 100 fly without dropping off. But, you know, when you're trying to – it's one thing to do 25s, but when you put the 25s together and they're holding your breath for 15 meters, they're going to want to breathe a little bit more. So that stroke cycle may be high, like 1.0, really quick stroke cycle, but they're not pulling the distance per stroke on top of it. They're just breathing. And you're just doing that survival fly. So you got to be careful and make sure that the stroke still looks right. But, yeah, that'd be a great stroke rate.
Yeah, that's what I found. Some of the better butterflyers I've had for the 100 have been right about 1.0. What about for the 200 fly?
For the 2 fly, you know, everybody's a little different. Joe's 2 fly is probably not as strong as his 100 fly. Again, I think that, and especially at this time in his life, he was tiny. And so those bigger guys taking those less strokes just over a number of times started to hound him a little bit. But 2 fly, I'd like to see 1.2 or better, somewhere around there, 1.2, 1.3. But for Joe, I don't think the kid was so tiny. All he wanted to do is sprint. And, you know, he's relatively new to my group at this time, so he's learning. So if you watch his stroke, I don't think he pressed enough into any of those strokes. We're big on starting that stroke at the bottom of it and catching and driving forward and not trying to swim uphill. But he's definitely getting it. So when you watch him swim it, you'll see his head barely get underwater. I mean, barely. And he'll pop it right back up. So it's barely going under.
Yeah, breathing every stroke, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why the stroke cycle is pretty high, but the distance per stroke could be better.
Yeah,
if he just press into it a little bit more and catch and drive a little bit more forward, he could probably take off a cycle. So, again, but he was new to my group when we did this. He was only there for, I don't know, maybe not even a month yet, I don't think.
Yeah. So I want to –
he's come a long way.
I think it's fun, you know, you can take these practice videos and you can break them down in addition. Same video with your breaststroker. And what age is she, or what year is she at this point?
She is a freshman at Kingwood High School.
Okay. So, you know, these breakout, is this decent for her? Is this an improvement?
It's an improvement, and we're trying to get better because she's not very strong under the water. She has, and if you watch her breaststroke, she has a very, very quick tempo. And parts of the time, the top of her head doesn't even get under the water. She never gets out front and holds that line. But the biggest area she gets beat on and meets is the pullouts. So we really wanted to focus on these pullouts, trying to make them stronger and hold better velocity and be further. In a race, she'd already been up swimming. Like, that's how crazy it is. And you can see how the top of her head never gets wet. It's all about tempo. And I tease her all the time because I use the term guy mentalities. Guys think if you're doing this, you're going fast, because we always think the faster you move your hands, the faster you're going.
Right.
And it's not true in breaststroke. It's just not true in breaststroke. You know, you got to make sure you finish the kick in breaststroke and get everything out of the kick. And so I tease her about having guy mentality. And she's starting to really stretch it out. And she sees that she can do less strokes and go even a little bit faster. So it's coming along. But,
even in this, she was 1.0 and not great distance per cycle here, but when she does slow it down a little bit, even, just 1.1, her distance per cycle is getting a lot better.
Yeah. And this has helped her discover that, because when I first did this, she fought me tooth and nail. She was like, no, I'm going slower when I
got a race.
Yeah. And so this is why we kind of did this. Well, let's put you on charts. Let's start mapping it out. Let's see where we're weak and figure it out. And so first we just focused on the pullouts, because again, she just get hammered on pullouts and then have to work so hard to get back in the race. And then we started focusing on the other thing, how much distance per stroke based on the tempos. So she started discovering that stretching it out a little bit is actually a little bit faster. So now when she races, the top of her head actually gets in line with her body. She doesn't race it like this anymore.
Yeah, she's still facing forward a little bit here.
Yeah, but it's taken a while. I mean, she swims like an X. Her feet never come together with her hands out front. She's constantly in the X position.
A little overlapping.
Yeah. So this is what's great about the service you guys provide. You can do this and teach it to them. Like, this is not faster. It may feel faster, but it's just your body lying to you. Here's the stats. The stats shows you're not faster this way. We got to switch it.
Right. I've had so many kids that will tell me that their turns are fine. Their turns are fast. They're not slowing down into them. And then you show them, and there's nothing like a picture to be able to see the truth.
Absolutely. It's great. This app that you guys created, Swim Hero RA, to start with, was exactly what I needed during my coaching career when it came out, because like I said, I was doing by paper. But just by paper, it's me guessing where 15 is. It's me guessing where this is, and doing all the math and hope I do the math correctly. But if you can show them the video and the stats at the same time, there's no denying it. This is it.
I think it speeds up the learning curve and the learning process a little bit.
Absolutely.
So these kinds of things, multiple 25s or 50s, on pace, broken swims, et cetera, really allows you to work on metrics. Your kick, your distance per cycle, your tempo, et cetera. Do you have any other sets that you like to do on a regular basis?
With the race analysis, not really. We use that,
or just in general, that you feel like help them race.
So we do. I know my kids hate me for this because they complain all the time. So we'll do a set where we do something like freestyle, maybe like a couple hundred freestyles on a pretty good pace, where they're getting their heart rate up and they're a little bit fatigued. And then I'll give them like a 30-second breather, and then we go 450s on 45 freestyle, holding your 200 goal pace. And it's usually on 45 seconds. And then I'll give them like another 30 seconds, and we do a couple sprints all out, and then we give them a recovery, and we do rounds of it. And the goal we're trying to teach them, as we're calling out the time, is how to hold that pace and do the underwaters. We just can't video at the same time because I'm running 2 watches and stuff.
Sure.
But it helps them put it all together. It really does, of how to put the underwaters, how to do the breakouts, how to do the turns and the finishes, and hit that goal time. So their body's learning the tempo and times they need to hold in the meet. So by the time they shave, taper, and stuff like that, because they're doing pushes, they're not doing a dive, they get that little breather, take all that away, it's going to make them slower, but shave, taper, make them faster. That's about where they should be. And they hate it because it hurts, but they get it. They get it. They start understanding they can actually do it, which is huge for them. Because once they understand they can do it, there's a possibility. If they don't think they can do it, there's no possibility.
Right. And it teaches them to stay disciplined too on the underwater, that type of stuff. Don't rush it. Trust your training, those kinds of things.
All that stuff. And you can definitely tell the kids that struggle with it and the ones that are buying into it. That's another great thing. And You just got to, hold their hands a little bit and tell them, hey, keep trusting, trust the process. It's going to work. And the hard thing is when they're breathing heavy like that, because they're not getting it, and then try to go 15-15 off every wall. Even though it's a 200, you probably wouldn't do that in the 200, but you want to do it in practice. So when they fade to, midway 10, 11, that's not bad, but you're training to be better if you actually could do 15-15, but
sure.
200, that'd be tough.
Yeah.
One day, hopefully, that'd be cool.
Very good. Yeah. The program concept that you have sounds really interesting, and I'm kind of dying to see some people try to do that. And I think that's a great idea. All of these, we're all trying to get kids to go faster. So I really appreciate you sharing all this stuff with us today. It's been really
No
fun.
problem. I appreciate you guys developing this program because it really does make my life a lot simpler. Because
Well,
just doing one swimmer took forever. I could imagine doing, 8 in one night. There's just no way.
Yeah, and you can get parents involved to try to do some of it too, and you can get assistant coaches and even the kids themselves to do it themselves. And I think that there is a little bit of learning that goes on their part too. If they, well, not just watching it, but if they actually do the stamping and do the analysis too. Sometimes they'll make a mistake or two in the beginning, but eventually they'll learn to get it right, and they learn that way. And that helps.
I generally make a mistake every time I stamp. It doesn't matter how many times I do it. I make a mistake because especially the longer races, you kind of get like into it and then like, oh man, restart that length.
Screwed up. Right. Yep. I screwed up.
Yeah. Or, my son or my wife says something and it messes me up. But, I generally try to hide from them while I'm doing it.
Yeah. Very good.
But, yeah. It's a fun thing. And the last thing I want to say about the program we created for the coaches and swimmers out there, if you guys do something similar, I love hearing results. I love hearing how we do things better. So if you got information to share back with me, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear about it. And the one other cool part is when the kids actually start taking pride, they actually, like, after we did the first couple rounds of the program, and we just named it the program. We didn't have a name for it. We were trying to think of a cool name, but the program is what we came up with. They actually take pride. Like, I'm part of the program now. I'm doing the program. I'm in the program. And it's pretty cool because the parents have no clue because they think you're on the team. You're in the program. We get it.
Yeah.
But it's really within the program. So, yeah, it's pretty fun.
Those little things that create pride in working harder, taking more time, being more involved, that goes a long way towards building the culture of the team as well.
I agree. Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really appreciate having you on.
Excellent information.
It's been fun. And
I appreciate that.
You bet. And we'll get this up on YouTube for others to see it as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thanks.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye, guys.